Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So I got something kind of cool for you today. This right here is a drone. It is the SJRC F11 folding GPS drone, and it does have a camera on it. So I've had this in for a few months now, and I've been traveling all over the place with it and just having a lot of fun. It's kind of a budget option, kind of a beginner level drone, and it's exactly why I bought it and exactly why you guys are probably watching this video. It is a great way to get into the more advanced drone technology for under $200. So let's take a look. So let's talk about what you get when you buy a drone like this right off of Amazon. All right, so first you get a nice shiny box here. Again, you have a camera that does tilt 90 degrees straight down or forward, and then you do have foldable GPS, point of interest, a few other features here like waypoint flight, active track, hand gesture, and a 26 to 28 minute flight time, which I have found to be about accurate. So you get a nice box like this, all shiny. And inside you have a decent foam padding right there, plenty of protection for shipping. And of course you get the drone all folded up, ready to go. There are 4 brushless motors there with light indicators on each of the motors, and we'll show you guys that here when we start her up. But it folds out fairly simply. You fold out the longer legs first, like so, and then you fold out the rear motors like so. Just like that, and then you have a nice drone ready to fly. And you get a remote control here that is adapted to accept a smartphone up top. We'll show you guys this whole thing and all the features here in a second, but here's a remote folded up here, ready to go, and it's very easy to travel with because it is a nice compact remote control. And of course you get a manual right here. A lot of the features on this drone are kind of just skimmed over in the manual, so we'll go in a little bit more in depth here in a minute, which is very helpful because I did find out you had to kind of do some trial and error to figure out some of these features and to get them to work properly. You have a spare pack of blades just in case you do end up crashing it, and of course I have crashed it a couple of times, so these have come in handy at least once so far. But that is what a beginner drone is for. You also get a micro USB charging cable for the battery as well as a remote control. Both are rechargeable, no other batteries are needed, which is good. And here is a spare battery pack that I picked up. I do highly recommend a spare, that way you do have a good 50 minutes of flight time available to you, because these batteries take a good few hours, I would say almost 4 to 5 hours sometime, to fully charge, so they are not a quick charge. So if you have 2 of them, you get about almost an hour worth of flight time, and that is plenty to have an afternoon of fun. So first step to flying your drone, you have the drone folded up right here. Go ahead and unfold her, like so. All right, there's a button on the top. You're gonna hold the button, all the lights are gonna slowly light up, and you hear that noise right there. Now you're gonna put her on a flat surface to start. Go ahead and take your remote control out. You're gonna unfold her until she kind of looks like a PlayStation 4 controller. You do have these antennas on the top like so that fold out, and you have this piece right in the middle here that folds up for your phone. All right, so your phone, it only goes one way. The power adapter, like where you charge your phone, if it's on the bottom, like for an iPhone, it's going to be on the left side, facing that way on the left. It's just the way it is that when you're in the app, you can't really have any kind of orientation on the screen. It's just kind of weird like that. Speaking of the app, you're going to go to the SJRC Pro app on your phone. That is the app you can control the drone through. First step, now that that is powered on, is you're going to go ahead and connect to the Wi-Fi network that is being broadcasted from the drone itself. It's called SJRC Pro, and the trick here is the Wi-Fi, if you're around like your house or other places with wireless networks that your phone already knows, you want to forget those networks. Typically you want to fly this kind of in an open field in a park somewhere, someplace, of course, where drones are allowed, that you can actually fly this in without interference from other signals, because it is reliant on that Wi-Fi. So speaking on Wi-Fi is what really kind of tells the distance that you can allow to fly this drone to. So of course there's regulations, so check your local laws for regulations on height restrictions and altitude and things like that. And also if you can even fly, especially in some parks and things like that. But for this, it says, you know, it gets about 120 meters up in the air, and it can reach about 1,200 meters in distance. Now, in the open air with no trees, I was just flying through parks, you can probably get like over a big body of water or something, you can get about 100 meters high altitude without losing signal. Almost 120 actually. It's pretty close to, I think I reached about 114 before it started to lose signal for the height. But then for the distance traveled, it only reached about 500 meters away. So that's when just open, no obstructions. Now in an area like this with trees, with homes, with networks that you can kind of mess around with the signal a little bit, you get about 80 to 90 meters high for altitude. And then for distance, you're only looking about maybe 200 meters before you start losing signal and your video will cut out and you'll have to use the home button for the GPS to send your drone back to you and land where you are. So back to the wireless network. You go ahead and log into the wireless network, you're connected, go ahead and open the app like so. You're going to want to go ahead and push the power button on the remote control right here. Once the power button is pushed, you're going to hear the drone kind of make a buzzing noise. So to link the remote to the drone, you're going to go up on the left and then down on the left joystick, and it's going to make this light turn a solid white color. All right, so next you're going to want to go over to the control tab, and it's going to say pick up aircraft to calibrate. So you can see the video is already on there, kind of showing the bottom of that table there. So to calibrate, what you're going to want to do, it's going to look ridiculous, but don't worry about it, it's all fun. You're going to take your drone, go in a full circle around you. All right, and then point it straight down, camera straight down to the ground, and do that again. Full circle. All right, so all the lights now are flashing, whereas before the rear were flashing when you spun around, and then the front were flashing when you went ahead and pointed straight down. Now all are flashing, and it's going to want you to set it on a flat surface, like so. And of course it might be hard to tell on the camera, but all the lights are not flashing anymore. And you have a little button down here that says ready to fly. So let's go ahead, switch the camera angle around, we'll show you some of the features and get this bird in the air. So let's talk about some of the buttons here on the controller itself, and then let's talk about some of the buttons here on the app. So you have, of course, your joysticks for controlling the drone itself. You have a GPS on-off button here. Say if you want to fly it outdoors, you want to keep the GPS on. Say if you want to fly it indoors, you can go ahead and turn the GPS off, and it's a simple hold on or hold off. These lights are not flashing, it just shows the camera. It's just kind of showing them flashing. They are solid lights here. Some are kind of hard to see with the way the cameras are designed. Right here is your home button. That is a very important button, because when you do lose signal on here, you're going to use this button right here to get your drone back to you, and it has not failed me yet, so that's good. Power button right here, on, off. Now to turn on, you actually just push it once and it'll turn on. To turn off, you push it once and you hold it down a second time and it powers off. It's just kind of the way it is, kind of power it down. Here is an auto land, auto takeoff, and there's also a hold down for an emergency stop. Now, of course, you don't want to hold it down when you're high up. You will break your drone. But let's say if you're a foot above the ground or something, there's a problem, you can hold this down and kill the drone and have it fall to you. All right, so on the back here, I'm going to show you guys real quick. There is an adjustment for the camera angle, straight down or kind of pointing forward right there. And then also there is a video capture button right there. On the back over here is a speed adjustment. You can see right there, speed up or down. Right here is a photo capture right there. And of course, there are your antennas there. So let's talk about the app for a minute, all right? So when you first turn it on, you have a few things. You have a quick start manual, you have the controls, which is your main option right here for flying. Learn to fly video from YouTube on their channel. Photos and videos, that is where you store all of your photos and videos right there that you've taken. All right, and of course you can store them right on their cloud drive, or you can go and share them with your phone and store them on your phone, or you can go ahead and store them right on a micro SD card. All right, now you go over here and it says ready to fly right here, and of course she's landed right now in the grass right there, ready to go. Now you have kind of this back button here to go to the screen I just had. Down here on the app, you'll see that you have altitude, distance, controller battery levels, drone battery levels, GPS signal, and settings up here. You hit the settings, you can see there's a beginner option. There is your flight distance availability as well as altitude and return altitude. These are the options you can set, and if you go to beginner mode, you'll see it sets on a preset to make it a little bit easier to learn to fly, a little bit safer. Going on back here, quit beginner mode. All right, you can adjust it to where you'd like to go for altitude and distance. All right, of course, knowing what we have available to us. Right here is the controls. All right, you have the trackers. So you have a object tracker right here, and you have a actual movement tracker right there. You have your home button right here. So if you don't want to push the button on the remote, there's a home button option right there. You have an auto takeoff, auto land, hand gesture right here. You can hold your hand up to take a video or do the peace sign to take a photo. It'll do that automatically so you can kind of get some selfies. Take a photo, take a video, turn on the microphone, and the microphone routes right through the controller so you can do some video edits that way. So right up here is a waypoint. All right, you can find, it shows you where your drone is. It hasn't worked too well for me yet. Usually you have to do it in an open area, so you want to make sure you're in a nice open like park or something so that we don't have to worry about any kind of obstructions anywhere. But you can set the waypoint to follow different points to actually go and fly the drone to, and then come back to you depending on where you want to go. Right here is all your photos and videos. Here is your flight record, so you can kind of show how often you fly, flight distance, speed, altitude. Nice little record keeper right there. VR, I don't have the VR glasses for it, but apparently this does work in VR, and the camera flip. So you have a GPS calibrated, you have a kind of a better feel for the controls now to start the drone. All right, that's what we're all here for, the fun part. All you're gonna do is hold at the 5 and the 7 o'clock position on the joystick until the engine starts. Now you have all 4 quad motors moving like so. Now all you have to do now is take off. All right, and she's going to go up about 10 to 15 feet, and of course you can go down like so and fly that way, fly back, right, left, and of course with the GPS tracking there, it'll just hover as well, which is a nice little touch. There you go, so she can hover right there and you don't have to worry about it too much. There is some drifting with the wind, and that actually is something I need to bring up. Don't fly in over 10 miles per hour. I've done it before. It doesn't work out very well. 10 miles per hour is just too windy for these drones to fly in. It's just too light. It just gets tossed around too much. It works too heavily, too hard to kind of stay on the right path and stay flying correctly. All right, guys, so we are outside in a larger park, open area to test a few other features out. So let's get going. This is the onboard microphone through the remote control. All right, so it's a little bit more windy now that it's towards the end of the day, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna test out a couple of things here. So if you look on the screen, we're going to test out the tracking mode for a stationary object, and what you do is you draw a green box around whatever object you want to track, and the drone will not move, it'll just pivot. So you'll see it'll follow me around, and then as I get farther away, it tracks me this way. You can walk quickly across the screen, and it actually follows pretty fairly quickly. It's not too bad at all. All right, so now the other option, take a look at the screen here, follow me feature. All right, so you're gonna get pretty close to her. All right, now let's see if she tracks me. There you go. So it's pretty smooth. This particular one is very useful if you want to do some following shots. Maybe you're hiking and you want the drone to kind of hover behind you. You can adjust the height a little bit and it'll still follow you. You can stop, back up, and you can see it's reversing fairly nicely. All right, so turn that off. So we mentioned earlier that this drone might have an issue with surrounding networks, maybe Wi-Fi, maybe other cellular devices. So if you're in a suburban area, it only has that limited range. All right, now we are in the open a little bit. So let's go ahead and test the height on this one. All right, so we'll go ahead and turn the speed up. Oh, we got a little breeze coming along. See it kind of wobbling a little bit. When a breeze does come along, it actually flies down a little bit, and you'll see it actually will kind of turn a little bit just to kind of compensate for that breeze. But let's go up regardless, see what we're looking like. Point you guys away from the sun. So you can see the camera is kind of slanted a little bit, and that is because up that high, the breeze is about 10 miles per hour. So it's a little breezy now that it's towards the end of the day, but it's holding its own. So we're 70, 75, climbing fairly quickly. We should reach the 120, which actually is the limit of what we're allowed to fly due to FAA regulations in the United States. And speaking of that, actually, while this reaches up there, we'll kind of go just shy of 120. You do, unfortunately, in the United States have to register drones now. All right, so registration for a drone is fairly easy. That's on the FAA website. It's $5. Last, I think, 3 years. They need a name, email address, home address, things like that. Nothing too crazy. You just put a credit card down, and then you get to have your drone registered in the United States. And you do have to register each drone you have. So that might be a minor issue, but that is just something that goes along with the new FAA regulations for flying drones like this. So you can see we are at the almost peak of the height we're allowed to fly right now at 400 feet, and no issues at all. She's flying around, plenty of signal. It's a little windy, so I'm not going to test the distance, but you can tell earlier that, you know, the distance about 150 probably around homes and suburbia neighborhoods kind of thing, but you can push it out to about 300 or 400 depending on where you are, if you're in more of an open area. And of course, if it's calm out, you're not working the rotors as hard, and you don't have to work as hard to get the drone back to you. So what I'm gonna do now is I should just push the home button on the screen right here, return home. She's going to turn and slowly fly back, even though the wind is gonna be kind of a pain for her right now up that high. But I can hear her buzzing over here slowly. She's definitely struggling. So, wind is an enemy for drones. Now, once she hits her mark for where the home spot was, relatively close to where she took off, she is going to slowly land back down. And I'll turn the camera, kind of show you guys real quick. Here's a field in the park we're flying at today. And that's me walking around, kind of hard to see. But it is a slow descent. You can see there 94, 93. I mean, it's like a meter a second. So I'll speed this up. And she's back down, landed safe and sound. All right, let's try this waypoint. Here we go. So the waypoint, you can see here, you can kind of see where you are. I'm in this field here. It's kind of a weird map. It's not super accurate for landmarks or anything like that, but let's go ahead and try it anyway. So waypoint, go in a circle, and then back to me. Send it. So she's going to the first point, she's turning, going to the second point, getting hit by a bunch of wind. So waypoint actually seems to work this time. The maps tended to not load half the time, which is an issue. So just note that depending on where you are, the GPS maps don't like to load, but they are working right now. So waypoint success. So one last thing I want to show you guys is the hand gestures on here. If you go ahead and click the hand gestures button, you can see you hold your hand up for a video, peace sign for photos, and let's see if that works. So hand up for video. Clearly a hand up for video. See, it's pretty iffy. Let's try the peace sign. Yeah, I've only had it work a couple of times, so there you go. Hand gestures, definitely iffy. So let me show you guys something really cool on what a GPS drone is really all about and how it kind of works. So it's flying right now on GPS coordinates. If I grab the drone, all right, I pull her down, she doesn't want to go down. All right, if you push her up, of course she'll go up a little bit, but you can kind of tell she wants to come back down. If you drag her this way, she does not want to go. If you drag her forward, you can hear the engines roaring. It does not want to go. You push her left, does not want to go. Push her right. Again, does not want to go. So that is what GPS does. It allows you to kind of stay in one point, and even though it does drift maybe within like 1 meter in a circle there, it doesn't go too far, and that is a nice feature to have. So GPS drone, that's the way to go. So when you're done and want to come in for a landing, you have two options. You can either hold the joystick down the whole way like this, and eventually she will slow down enough and kill her own engines off to land, or you can use the landing function on the app right here and slide over to land. Now make sure you are in a flat area where there's no big tall grass or sticks or anything like that that could hurt the propellers, and she'll come in for a nice soft landing like so. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this review on the SJRC F11 drone. Honestly, it's a great budget option drone, especially for a beginner. Even myself, it's something we can really test all the features and really just kind of learn how to fly these. I mean, these are definitely not your typical $50 Walmart drones that we're used to, or those little tiny helicopters that were so popular, what, 10 years ago? This is so much more controllable, so much more useful. You get some really cool footage. The camera is very nice 1080p HD quality for what it is. Of course, it has auto adjustment for focus and brightness and things like that, so it's not amazing by any means. And the more money you spend on these things, the more features you get, the better quality you get, the higher quality lenses. You don't have, this doesn't have a stabilizer or a gyroscope in it, but if you spend the money, you can get one with a gyroscope in it and have a little bit more stable shots. But again, for a beginner, or maybe like your kid or something like that, where you want to get them into drone technology, learning how to fly, SJRC F11 right here. Again, there's only a couple of quirks to it. Most of the functions work just fine. Waypoints, the gestures are kind of iffy sometimes. And it's just the software, I think. It's just kind of being updated and worked on and things like that. But they do work occasionally. So overall though, highly recommended for the price point, under $200. There'll be links down below in the description. Check it out right on Amazon. I'll post a link to where I got this one so you don't get ripped off on some kind of fake one. This is the real deal right here. So if you have any questions at all, hit them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. Be sure to like us over on Facebook for all the latest and greatest deals on the internet, such as if these go on sale. Follow us over on Instagram, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and I'll see you in the next review.